This week in Jamaica Now, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit moves to tears as he details the pain after Hurricane Maria in Dominica.
It's really an extraordinarily difficult moment for Prime Minister Skerrit.
Bobby's bungling. The National Security Ministry issues 3 releases in 14 hours about the FLA. Cabinet shuffle coming shortly. The opposition will also be changing its Council of Spokespersons. Businessman Ian Causwell arrested for assaulting his ex-girlfriend, what he told her in a text message after a court order. And woman deported from Jamaica arrives in Canada with drugs in coffee beans. I'm Damian Mitchell and this is Jamaica Now. Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit broke down in tears on Thursday as he detailed the need for help in his Eastern Caribbean island left ravaged by the powerful Category 5 Hurricane Maria. An emotional Skerrit was speaking to Garfield Burford of ABS-TV in Antigua, where he arrived by helicopter after 2 days of surveying the damage in Dominica.
What's the most immediate need now, Prime Minister, in terms of the relief effort?
We need a lot of tarpaulins and supplies.
It's really an extraordinarily difficult moment for Prime Minister Skerrit, who, as he said, has given us the opportunity to share his story with the world. And the Nature Isle has been an extraordinarily resilient country. You would have heard yesterday from Hartley Henry, the Prime Minister's principal advisor, telling ABS how difficult it is, and obviously it has been an extraordinarily difficult moment for the Prime Minister.
Water for the people, food supplies, tarpaulins, some blankets, urgently.
Prime Minister Skerrit says the entire country had been impacted by the hurricane, with 15 people dead and many others still missing. The Prime Minister, who also lost his roof during the storm, had to shelter under a mattress before he was rescued from his house. Caribbean countries are mobilizing help for Dominica. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has indicated that a cabinet shuffle is coming. According to Mr. Holness, he wanted to review the composition of the cabinet from some time ago to refresh and re-energize it. The Prime Minister says he wants to move ministers around to expose them to different areas of government.
We're there already. We're there in our minds already. I think all the ministers are at that point too, because it's important to have consensus.
Prime Minister Holness announced a 17-member cabinet last year, and the opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips says he too will be making changes to his Council of Spokespersons.
Right after the next NEC on the 24th, I will be announcing the recomposition of the shadow cabinet of the People's National Party.
Dr. Phillips was speaking on Sunday at the PNP's 79th annual conference at the National Arena in Kingston. The National Security Ministry was the target of intense criticism this week after an apparent blunder in announcing the members of the new board of the Firearm Licensing Authority, the FLA. In 14 hours, the ministry issued 3 releases concerning the FLA. In the first release, the ministry named the 5-member board, including former chairman Dennis Wright. But hours later, it issued a statement saying Wright had declined the appointment and an investment banker was being considered as his replacement. Almost 2 hours after, the National Security Minister, Robert Montague, sent out another statement saying he had not appointed a board for the FLA. A release was sent out prematurely, Montague said. Attorney-at-law Peter Champagny has told a corporate area court that despite a protection order, businessman Ian Causwell sent a text message to the woman he's accused of assaulting, raising further concern about her safety. "You had better be careful," Causwell reportedly texted the woman. Champagny, who is overseeing the proceedings on behalf of the woman, made the disclosure during Causwell's first court appearance before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Thursday. On Saturday, the businessman was arrested and charged with assaulting his ex-girlfriend. Causwell has pleaded not guilty to assaulting the woman, a top corporate executive. Causwell, through his attorney, says the text message was taken out of context as it was making reference to the woman's behavior. He's to reappear in court on October 20. The police have launched a major probe into reports that an inmate who was on Saturday released into the custody of the immigration authorities for deportation arrived in Canada on Monday with drugs in her suitcase. Deputy Commissioner of Police Selvin Hayes says detectives have visited the Fort Augusta Adult Correctional Center from which the inmate, who is a Canadian citizen, was released on Saturday. She had been serving a 16-month sentence on drug charges. The probe is to determine where the former inmate was being held after she was released into the custody of immigration authorities and where she might have acquired the drugs. It's reported that the woman was carrying the drugs in her luggage in a bottle containing coffee beans. The Finance Ministry has finally undertaken the steps necessary for the Director of Public Prosecutions to employ additional staff. Earlier this week, the DPP declared that she was frustrated over the delays by the Finance Ministry to give her office the go-ahead to fill 17 posts for which approval had already been given. A day after the DPP complained, the Finance Minister wrote to her advising that the way had now been cleared for the appointments. 3 men accused of pumping 12 bullets into another have failed to turn up for court in the middle of their murder trial. The 3, O'Shane Coley, Devon Harriott, and Michael Jacobs, skipped court on Wednesday, a day after Justice Martin Gale ruled that a statement the victim gave police investigators after the attack be admitted into evidence. The 3 had been in custody since 2010 but were granted bail earlier this year. Gale has ordered that arrest warrants be issued for them and has ruled that the trial continue in their absence. He has also ordered that their bail in the amount of $300,000 each be forfeited to the state. And the man who bailed Harriott has been detained by police until he pays over the bond. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, more from that interview with Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit on the damage wrought by the killer hurricane Maria.
When they meet me on the streets and they say, Prime Minister, my house is gone, I'm homeless. I said to you, darling, I am also homeless as the Prime Minister of the country. Every village in Dominica, every street, every cranny, every person in Dominica was impacted by the hurricane. We have no running water now, we have no electricity and no power. We have very limited now telecommunication services by WhatsApp, mainly. All of the telecommunication services down. We run in the hospital now worse than in the military, in a war zone. We're running really an archaic system. Everything has to be manual. Any patient with who need critical care, we have to airlift the person because the ICU has been completely destroyed by the hurricane. So that's one of our major concerns. One patient who has to receive dialysis every day, dialysis treatment every day, he walked from Portsmouth in the north to Rosa.
That's how many miles?
That's over 21 miles.
Wow.
You know, and I met him at the hospital and he says, look, I came from Portsmouth because I'm desperately in need of help. There's one patient in Jubla, the family told me that if he doesn't get airlifted, he will expire.